Thanks for tuning in to the Misfits Media podcast. Today we've got two rifles that we're going to be reviewing from Christensen Arms. This one right here is the Christensen Arms Ranger, and the one right here is the Ranger MPR, stands for Modern Precision Rifle. Before we get into the testing, evaluation, my thoughts and all that stuff, we'll want to go over some of the specs on both of these rifles. Keep in mind that some of these specs are going to translate one from the other, because essentially both of these are the same action with the same barrel, with the obvious differences here is going to be the stock and the chassis. But trigger, the bolt, everything is absolutely identical on both of these rifles. Full disclosure, Christensen Arms did send us these rifles for review, and we do appreciate that. Of course, we are going to give our honest feedback on both of these rifles, and we made them fully aware of that we would be brutally honest based on our testing and evaluation. So with all that being said, let's move on and let's get some specifications out of the way on both of these. Again, we're going to start with this one right here. This is the Ranger. Manufacturer's description on this: the Ranger is the go-to choice for rimfire shooters who value a lightweight and compact design. Ideal as a truck gun or for hiking into your favorite shooting spot, this rifle is perfect for everyone from a first training rifle to a long-time favorite range companion for seasoned shooters. So that's the manufacturer's description on the Ranger right here. On the MPR, that combines the feature-rich function of a chassis rifle with the accuracy of a carbon fiber tension barrel to deliver a rifle in a class of its own. Able to fold down into a pack and reach out to impressive distances, this platform is the ultimate all-around rimfire rifle. A Remington 700 style trigger, lightweight billet aluminum chassis with a folding stock, FFT carbon fiber handguard with M-LOK adjustable FFT carbon fiber cheek piece, 6 QD flush cup mounts combined to create a powerhouse of a platform in a lightweight, packable package. Whether you're plinking at the range, hunting small game, shooting at competition, or just enjoying some time outdoors, the Modern Precision Rifle Rimfire is the ideal companion. We are releasing Modern Precision Rifle Rimfire in 3 sought-after chamberings, including the 17 HMR, 22 long rifle, and 22 Win Mag. Available in 3 distinct color combinations with 3 barrel lengths, available for each caliber in 2 different handguard lengths. There's truly an option for every shooter and application. So those are the manufacturer's descriptions for both of these rifles, came directly off of their website. Well, let's get into the specifications. So again, both of these, the barrel, are going to have a what they call CA carbon fiber tension barrel, muzzle thread, half 28, thread protector is included on both of these. They claim a precision lapped match chamber. Both of our rifles are chambered in 22 long rifle, both with an 18-inch barrel with 1/16 twist. Again, both are available in 17 HMR and 22 Win Mag as well. The action is the Christensen Arms precision matched aluminum receiver with dual extractors. The trigger is a Trigger Tech. For the stock on the Ranger, we've got a Christensen Arms carbon fiber composite design long range rimfire. I'm not sure what that means. Aluminum pillars, ambidextrous grip, flat fore end, palm hook, palm swell, sling studs, and a recoil pad. So some of the features that come with this stock. On the chassis, you've got a Christensen Arms 7075 billet aluminum chassis, folding stock with MagnaLock technology, 14-inch carbon fiber handguard, and V-block bedding. Adjustable cheek riser and length of pull, AR style, grip compatible, 6 QD mounts, and a 0 pick rail does come included. The pick rail does come included on both of these. Both of these come with one 10-round Ruger magazine, so these do take the Ruger 1022 rotary magazines. On the MPR, claimed weight 6.2 pounds, has an accuracy guarantee of sub MOA at 50 yards. You can get these in the Action and Black Cerakote. The chassis comes in either tungsten, black, or desert brown. Ours is in tungsten as tested here. And then the barrel, handguard, cheek riser are all going to be carbon fiber. The MSRP on the MPR is going to be $1249.99. Going back to the Ranger, the Action is only available in Black Cerakote. The stock with black with gray webbing, which is what ours is as tested. You can also get tan with black webbing, and you can also get Sitka Subalpine and Sitka Elevated too. Sounds pretty cool. Again, sub MOA guarantee at 50 yards, starting weight of 5.1 pounds. And on the Ranger, the MSRP is going to be $849.99. So a couple of things that they don't tell you. They tell you that you're getting a Trigger Tech trigger in both of these, and again, they're identical. And you do have an option, if you see right here, on the regular Ranger, we have a curved trigger, and on the MPR, we have a flat face trigger. Both triggers, though, they are a Trigger Tech field, and they both average somewhere around about 2.5 pounds. That's as low as I could get them on these. So these are adjustable, but about the lowest you're going to see on both these rifles is somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2.5 pounds. It does mention in the specs, but the stock here does come with front and rear pillars installed, aluminum pillars, so that's a pretty nice addition for that. Okay, so we're going to start with our evaluation of the MPR, the Modern Precision Rifle, the one that comes in the chassis here. A couple features I want to point out on this. We went over at the specs, but just want to show everybody. This is a folding chassis. It is a right side fold only, but it does lock up all the way with the bolt closed, so you don't have to remove the bolt. There's no interference, anything like that. To bring it back to its deployed position, you simply just pull it back. There is a magnet here that is built into the chassis itself. And that holds it somewhat secured when it's together. It's not perfect, it's not great, but it does help somewhat, and you can feel a little bit of that magnet there. Anyway, when it locks back up to the fully deployed position, it locks up tight. There's absolutely no wiggle. It is solid as far as that goes. We've had absolutely no issues with it. Folding up is very easy. And, just a really, really nice, cool addition to that, and not something that you would normally see or maybe even expect out of a factory chassis, which does make it, really handy if you're going to take this and throw it in a backpack and you're going to go out squirrel hunting or something like that for the day. Makes it really handy for that. So anyway, nice addition on the folding chassis. So shooting these, we've got some mixed, kind of emotions or feelings about my thoughts and opinions on shooting both of these. Now, Christensen Arms does have a sub MOA guarantee at 50 yards on both of these rifles, and we tested these both at 50 yards at length and shot several hundreds of rounds through both of these through various types of ammunition. And the sub MOA claim does seem to be holding true on both of these rifles, but we'll kind of get into a little bit more on that here in just a little bit. So when we got the MPR, went through and checked everything, made sure that everything was nice and tight, make sure that the pick rail was tight, and the action screws. One of the action screws, which I believe was the front one, it was torqued about 15 pounds more than what the specs had called for. So we got that all straightened out, and they do call for 35 inch-pounds of torque on these. The fore end on the MPR does come with a short section of pick rail. I don't have it on here for a short time, or I guess for a while. I had an arc rail added to this. That pick rail, obviously, I took that off to put the arc rail on here. And when I took the arc rail off, I just didn't put it back on. But it does come with a short section of pick rail. So anyway, we took the rifle out. We fouled it with about 100 rounds of CCI standard ammunition. We cleaned the rifle completely, went through, cleaned out the barrel, got all that out of there, and then we moved on to accuracy testing. And we started with SK Rifle Match, just red box right here. We moved to Lapua Center X. We tried RWS Target. We also tried SK Flat Nose. The SK Flat Nose did not, actually shot and grouped pretty well, maintaining right around 1 MOA accuracy at 50 yards. So pretty happy with that. However, it did not feed very well. So there were some feeding issues with SK Flat Nose, and I would not recommend running that ammunition out of this action. The RWS, it did not like RWS, and that was RWS Target Rifle that we used for testing on this, and it did not like it. However, SK Rifle Match and Lapua Center X shot both of those very well. Pretty darn identical based off of the lots that I shot out of these. And so I basically just continued on shooting SK Rifle Match, just the red box with this for the vast majority. So thoughts and impressions on this. Accuracy was good. The fit, function, everything on this rifle functioned very well. I had no extraction issues. I had no feeding issues, except for I had a couple of my personal Ruger 10/22 magazines that I've used in some other competition rifles, and they've been worn out. I don't know, whatever the case is. So you may run into the same issue with, every once in a while you get a Ruger 10/22 magazine that just, for whatever reason, they just don't like to feed very well. The magazines that came with both rifles, I didn't have any issues. However, a couple of my magazines I did have some issues with. So something you want to be cautious of, not that they would not work at all, but there was just some hesitation, a little bit of rough feeding every once in a while. But we swapped out the magazine, went to another magazine, and those problems, it went away. So we attributed that to the magazines themselves. Again, fit and finish on this is all really good. Everything matches up really well. Nice clean lines, all that kind of stuff, no problem. And again, the folding stock is absolutely awesome. No wiggle, no play there, all good to go. We're considering using this rifle as a match rifle. Some things that you need to be aware of. Number one, it is extremely butt heavy. There is almost zero weight forward of the action. I did shoot this in a couple of matches, local matches last year. Had a lot of fun with it. However, because it did not balance very well, I did have to put a weighted Arca rail on here, and I also had a couple of external weights up here in the M-lock slots to get that balance to come out right. So, again, if you're going to use this, if you're a beginner and you're not worried that much about balance to begin with, okay, fine, well and good. But if you get a little bit more experience and you understand how much a balanced rifle means when it comes to something like NRL or PRS or anything like that, where balance is important, this rifle does not balance well. And that's simply because all of the weight is back there on the buttstock, and everything forward of the action with the carbon fiber barrel wrap, the carbon fiber forend, there's really no weight up front. So you're going to have to put some weight on there to get these rifles to balance out. Secondly, this is the second MPR rifle that we have had. And the first one, we didn't have any issues with it whatsoever, with one exception. On extraction and ejection, extraction was no problem, but ejection was a problem. And what we found out was on the very last round, you would extract the last round out of the chamber, and the empty case would fall out of the extractors and back down into the magazine, and it would not eject it. The rounds previous to that would all eject just fine, because what would happen is that round would come out of the chamber and it would ride on top of the next round that's waiting to go into the chamber, and then the ejector would hit it, and then it would eject out of the rifle just fine. So we had an issue with that. We sent, so on July 16th of 2024, sent an email over to Christensen Arms. They did respond with an RMA the following day. The rifle went out a couple weeks later. Was out of town working, so I didn't get it out right away. So the rifle went out on 8/5. They did send a response on 8/13 saying that they had received the rifle and they were inspecting it. On 9/4, they sent another follow-up email saying that they were just going to replace the rifle and send me another one. Now, when I sent that notice to Christensen Arms, I did not tell them that we had rifles in for testing. I did not use the podcast name. It was simply just my name saying, hey, I got a new Christensen Arms rifle. Here's the issue that I'm having. So the response was actually very, very good. And again, they sent out a new rifle. I'm not sure why they just didn't fix the issue in the first one, but nonetheless, they sent a new rifle to remedy the problem. I'm sad to report that the replacement rifle has the exact same issue. It's not as bad as the first one, and every once in a while on that last round extraction, as it comes out, the extractors will hold it, it'll hit the ejector, and it will fly out of the case. But that's probably only about 20 or 25% of the time. So roughly about 75% of the time, that last round, it's going to fall back down into the magazine. Is it the end of the world? Probably not. However, it's, when you're spending $1,300 on a rifle, you expect them to perform flawlessly, and that is not flawless performance. So in order to remedy that, you simply just drop your magazine, which you're going to be dropping it anyway because your magazine is empty, and then that empty case will just fall out with it. So not a huge deal, but I would have rather seen them remedy the issue as opposed to just sending out a different rifle thinking that was going to fix the problem. So anyway, we have not written them about the issues with the second rifle. I'm going to try to see if I can figure out how to remedy the issue myself, and if we come up with a fix on that, we'll let everybody know if they're interested. So anyway, so we talked about balance. The chassis, again, if you're going to use these for matches, if you're used to a full wraparound grip on an air grip, that's fine. But for most of us who shoot precision rifle matches, our firing hand, our thumb is typically on the same side as the rest of our hand, and we have a shelf there to rest our thumb on, so we're not inducing anything into the rifle by gripping and trying to twist the rifle around. So I would really, really like to see a thumb shelf, or even if you sold it as an after purchase accessory, drill and tap the side of the chassis so you can put that thumb shelf on there would be a really, really nice addition. The other thing that's really, really annoying about this, or the one thing that is really annoying about the chassis itself, is it essentially has no bag rider. It's just a very short, small, flat piece here. It does rest on a bag, and that's all well and good. However, when you're behind the rifle and you are using your support hand to squeeze that bag to try to elevate the rear and really fine tune your point of aim, your hand will dig into the back of this chassis, and it's very annoying and it's very uncomfortable. Now, they did provide some drilled and tapped holes down here on the bottom. I'm not sure why they did that. Maybe this is something that they are planning to do in the future by offering a bag rider, or just provide one with the rifle. However, we don't know what those holes are there for. So anyway, it needs a bag rider. It needs one pretty darn bad. So I really, really like the way the length of pull and the cheek riser adjust on this chassis. One of the things that they did, I thought was a really cool addition, is they put indexing marks, not only for the cheek riser, but for the length of pull on the butt as well. So if you were, say, I'm an adult shooter, I'm going to get this set up for me, I'm going to go shoot my stage or shoot my match, and then I want to hand this off to my kid or somebody like that who's got a shorter length of pull. All I got to do is just simply remember where my marks were at on here. That way, after I set that rifle up for them, I can quickly return back to that those settings that suit me. So really cool on that feature right there. It's simple adjustments here. So for the length of pull, you've just got 2 1/8 there hex screws. The way I found is just loosen them up, flip this over, and then this little plate right here catches on these teeth right here. Just flip this over, get it where probably didn't loosen them up enough. Flip that over, slides back and forth, find the appropriate side that notch that I want. Flip that back over, snug those up, test for fit, adjust as necessary. The cheek riser, same thing, just a 1/8 tool on there. I had those suckers pretty tight. You simply just loosen those up and then adjust your cheek riser to the corresponding mark that suits you. Remember that, write that down, whatever. You can write it on the side of the chassis, whatever it is. And then you simply just tighten those back down. So really quick, really nice adjustments on these. And you don't have to use a whole lot to lock these down. They do stay in place. They stay in place very well. So I do like that. However, a little more ingenuity, and I think they could have done toolless, which would have been really cool. So if you are going to be making adjustments in the field, don't forget to take your 1/8 inch hex wrench. A couple other things I want to point out. Again, we talked about how light these rifles are, and that's one of the things that Christensen Arms is known for is light rifles. All well and good if that's what you're looking for, okay? But one of the things that they market this rifle to is a match precision rifle. And the precision is there. I mean, the rifle has shown that it will do it for matches. Again, the accuracy is there. However, because the rifles are so light, and the trigger, which obviously Trigger Tech makes a fantastic trigger, very well known, very popular out there. A 2.5 pound trigger on this lighter rifle. I don't care if you're a seasoned shooter or a new shooter, you will see that when you are pulling, unless you've just absolutely got this rifle locked down, but in a normal position, a lot of times you will see as you're pulling that trigger, this rifle is very easily manipulated just from the pull of the trigger. Now a lot of that could be attributed to me. I'm not a fan of angled AR style grips. I prefer much more of a vertical grip, which you could easily swap this grip out. And this does come with a mag pull. I'm not sure which one it is, but this is the grip that came on it. So it's very thin, very lightweight. Fine for weight savings, but ergonomically for this type of rifle, it just doesn't fit very well. And again, with that 2.5 pound trigger, it's very easy to manipulate your point of aim as you're trying to pull through that. So that combined with there is a double clunk on the bolt, and the bolt is very light. The travel is pretty good. When we first got the first one of this, the second one, and the one behind me, the bolts on these were really, really rough from the factory. Now, after we got some rounds through them, the bolts did smooth out. They're much better. I wouldn't say they're on glass or riding on ball bearings. They're not that smooth, but they were pretty darn rough when we got them. They have gotten better. So take the light weight of the rifle, take the heavier trigger, the double clunk of the bolt, and this rifle is going to move around a lot as you're going through a stage, which, when we're trying to save, we're trying to stay on target as we're cycling a bolt, makes it very difficult to do when you have a bolt that has, it's not heavy, but there is that clunk in there. And again, just because of the light weight of the rifle, it tends to want to move around on you. So there's that. Okay, so let's talk about the Ranger here for just a little bit. Again, the action barrel, everything is absolutely identical to the MPR. The only difference is this has a curved trigger where the MPR came with a flat face trigger. But both triggers are a Trigger Tech Field. Overall, really like this little package right here. It is super light. Actually does not balance terribly with the bipod that I've got on here. And I did add a Victor Company set of cheek riser spacers here, just simply because the comb on this stock is not high enough for me to get a cheek weld. Whether I'm running a red dot, magnified optic, whatever, I just set way too low. One other thing that I wanted to point out on the other one, it had the exact same issue on this rifle, is because of this short bolt handle and the small knob. One of the things that I noticed that I was doing as I was cycling the bolt, running some stages and just trying to pick up my pace a little bit to try to get through a stage, is that when I would cycle the bolt, as I would come forward on the bolt, my hand would also hit the safety and put the gun on safe coming back. And then sometimes I would get lucky, and as I ran the bolt forward, I would actually put it back on fire. So totally inadvertent, but because of the proximity of those two right there, it was very, I found that a couple of times I thought the gun had malfunctioned, looked over and the gun was on safe, wondering how it got there. And then I realized that as I was running the bolt, I was putting the gun on safe. So just something you want to kind of be paying attention to, especially if you got big meats like me. Just like the other rifle, 2.5 pound trigger with this lighter rifle. That's a lot when you're trying to be precise. Now again, if I'm just out shooting Coke cans, be shooting rabbits or squirrels or something like that, you're going to be fine. But if you're trying to get pinpoint accuracy, and if you're going to give me a sub MOA accuracy on these guns, I want to be able to shoot that, and I want to be able to shoot it well and consistently. And quite honestly, I think both of these guns are quite capable of much more with a lighter trigger in there. Now, I'm not saying we need to go down to a bench rest, 3 ounce trigger, but somewhere in that pound and a half would really be nice. If I could shave a pound off of these, I'm very confident that I could get group sizes squeezed down even more. But again, I do want to state that both of these rifles have held up to their potential on sub MOA or right around MOA accuracy. Okay, so after we shot our initial groups with this rifle, I took the barreled action out of the stock, wanted to get everything cleaned up really good, lubricated, so get it ready for its next round of testing. Plus, I just wanted to take an opportunity to kind of inspect everything. I was really having difficulties getting the barreled action out of the stock, and I kept looking around. Maybe I'm missing a fastener. I went back to the owner's manual that came with it. No, I'd taken out both of the action screws, and it was ready to come out, but for whatever reason, I couldn't get it out. So with a little bit of ugga-dugga, some forcefulness there, was able to get it out and found out that there was some bedding compound in there that had spilled over out of the recoil lug, and that was making contact with the action. But once I got it broke loose, everything was fine. So I did go through and clean all that out, but I would have liked to seen Christensen Arms put a little more attention to detail in their bedding jobs if they're going to do that. But at least they did bed the recoil lug on this. At least that's done, but again, wasn't really all that good of a job. One thing I'll say about this rifle, I have a lot of fun shooting this one because it is super light. I've just got now I just have a Crimson Trace Rad Max red dot on it. Got a super big window on here. Makes it fun going out, just shooting steel and stuff like that from offhand positions, things like that. I've just got a cheap bipod on here, and again, I've got the Victor Company cheek risers. Just helps with that cheek weld. We ran this with magnified optics, did group testing, did all that, and it's fun to do so. But again, the lightweight of the rifle, the heavy trigger, just the ergonomics for me, I think this rifle would be more suited for a younger shooter if they're going to shoot this in a match or a little more precision style competition, something like that. But for me, taking this thing out with the red dot, and again, just, grab a handful of ammo, throw it in your front pocket, go out and shoot some pop cans or stuff in the backyard with this red dot here, and it's actually a lot of fun. Ran this one as well with the 15 and 25 round Ruger magazines. Had absolutely no issues whatsoever. It fed just fine. So it, just like the other rifle, it's been extremely reliable. For whatever reason, this one does not have as much of an issue with the ejection as the other one did. It does it every once in a while, but it doesn't do it as often as the MPR. So overall, pretty cool little rifle. Not what I would consider a match rifle by any means. But again, if you got somebody that's just starting out, you want to put a little bit lighter trigger in there and you want to hand it to them, put a good magnified optic on there, might not be a bad choice, okay? One other quick thing I want to point out about the stock on the Ranger here is where the cutout is for the bolt handle to go down in the stock, and then where the safety cutout is for the trigger. It's not a huge deal when the barreled action is in the stock. However, when you take this out, I will caution people, you need to be extremely careful, because that point right there is extremely sharp. Actually sharp enough, I think you would actually impale or cut yourself on it. So you want to be cautious of that. Also, I really do think if you snagged it on something, whether the barreled action is in the stock or not, if you snag something on there, I'm pretty sure that's going to break off. So the material is extremely thin and it comes up to a sharp point. So it puts a stress riser right there, something you're going to be want to watch out for. I'll probably just cut that off or round that off, sand it down smooth, and then it should be good to go. No worries there. But yeah, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more attention to detail, radius that corner off so you don't have that sharp corner on there. So final thoughts and impressions. I don't think Christensen Arms hit it out of the park with these. Now, that being said, I'm a little bit spoiled when it comes to precision 22 rifles. I have a handful of Voodoos. I've got Anschutz. I've got several other rifles. So it's really tough for me to look at these and be objective about those. Just knowing what I've got that I know is better than these for their intended purpose. However, the Ranger is not marketed as necessarily a precision or a competition style rifle, and they do say in their description that this would make a really good truck gun. It would make a really good hunting rifle. You can carry it backpack around the woods all day long, and I will 100% agree with that. Taking this thing out in the woods, going squirrel hunting, even with a small little bipod and a couple other little things added to it, I mean, I could carry this thing all day long and not be a problem. I could hand it to a youngster and have him or her walking around in the woods all day long, and it's not gonna beat them to death just from the weight. So, as far as that goes, I think a really good option. The issue that I have is that this is an $850 rifle. Do I think that this is an $850 rifle? My personal opinion is no. I don't think that this is an $850 rifle. Now, again, that's objective, but I think I could go build a Ruger 1022 that doesn't have to have a carbon fiber barrel on it, but I could essentially build one that's just as lightweight and just as reliable, have semi-automatic if that's what you want, and I could do that for less money than what I could get into this. If you're into aesthetics, if you're into the Christensen Arms name, you want a bolt action, and the price doesn't bother you, then yes, I would recommend it. Go get it and use it and have fun with it. It's been ultra reliable. Like I said, every once in a while, just like both of these have had the same issue where that last round ejection just doesn't happen. But you simply just drop your magazine, and that last case will fall right out, no problems. Aside from that, we've had absolutely no issues with either one of these rifles. I would swap the trigger out. I would go with a Trigger Tech Diamond, something that's got a little bit lower threshold on pull weight. But aside from that, if I just wanted a lightweight hunting rifle, I would recommend it for that if you don't mind spending the money. Now the MPR, that one is marketed a little bit more towards competition and precision. And folks, there's better rifles out there for the money if you're going to go shoot a competition. Okay, $1,250 MSRP. Now I know street price is going to be a little bit better, but honestly, I've looked around. They're not that much cheaper than MSRP. That could be because they're new. Maybe prices will come down. I don't know. I'm just going off of the information that I have at the time. If I was going to set up a youngster and I wanted something out of the box that has been at least been reliable, I would swap out the trigger. And I don't care if it is a new shooter. 2.5 pounds on a precision gun that is this light. I can't recommend it. Okay, even with a newer shooter, somebody's just getting into competition. In my opinion, I think 1.5 pounds is plenty for them. And as they gain experience, they learn trigger discipline, things like that. If they want to go lighter, they can go lighter. But I've got these triggers, both sets of lights will go 2.5 pounds. It's just too heavy. It's cool that they're putting trigger techs in them. Absolutely fantastic triggers, ultra dependable. You're never going to have an issue with it. Even if you do, you know trigger tech's going to back it up, but a little bit too heavy. The double clunk on the bolt. Again, even if I'm a newer shooter and I'm looking at precision, and I'm trying to run that bolt on a stage, for those younger shooters, they're going to have a harder time keeping that rifle on target just because of that bolt lift with that double clunk and it being a little bit heavy. Combine that with a heavy trigger, and it's going to be more difficult for them to stay on target and be consistently accurate with a super lightweight rifle. It's too butt heavy. It's great to have M-Lock, all this, lightweight stuff, but an integrated arc rail would have been really nice. It's nice to have a piece of pick rail that comes with it, but let's be honest, we're all moving away from pick rails. Pick rails are starting to become a thing of the past from a precision rifle perspective. Everybody's going to arc rail. Make that forend with an integrated arc rail. The scope base is a 0 MOA. Come on, guys, put a 20 MOA rail on here, or a 30 or a 40 MOA rail. It's not going to cost you any more, but those zeros, ranges are getting further and further with 22, and a lot of times we need that 20, 30, or 40 MOA rail. That's a little bit of a gripe. That's easily swapped out, but again, if I'm paying $1,250 for a rifle, I want it to be match ready to go, and I want to have to be swapping out all this other stuff. So we need a different forend with a integrated ARCA rail or some way to attach ARCA. We need a lighter trigger. We need a 20, 30, 40 MOA rail, whichever one. If you could do all those things, and then even if you kept it at the same price, I still don't know that I would absolutely recommend it, but it would be more recommendable if you did those things. I think this could be a match rifle. It needs a bag rider too. That's the other huge thing. It absolutely needs a bag rider. This bag rider that's here absolutely sucks. So again, it's great. It's good for what it is. If you just want a foldable rifle, something you can throw in your truck and have whenever you want to just go banging around in the woods, it would fit easily into a backpack carried around all day. No problem. But again, if I'm going to go backpacking around, go hunting in the woods, I'm going to take this little lightweight thing right here. But anyway, to each his own, right? So for their intended purpose, if you don't mind spending the money and you can put up with the small little issues that I brought up in this, then by all means go do it. But for me, I have a hard time recommending rifles that are this expensive that need some more refinement for what their intended purpose is. So hope this gives you some good information. Hopefully I didn't ramble on too much. And thank you all very much for tuning in. Be sure to go check out Full Circle Reloading Firearms on YouTube. They're doing some tremendous stuff, especially on the centerfire side there. They've got some great videos. Go check them out. Be sure to tune in to the Misfits Media podcast. We've got a lot of stuff planned for the upcoming year. Really excited, really looking forward to it. We appreciate all your support. We appreciate all the listeners out there. And I think that will just about cover it. So thank you all very much for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.